Bro, how is anyone affording to actually live in the UK? How are you managing financially? Council tax, insurance tax, income tax, capital gains tax, NHS tax. Bro, you just have a million taxes and then they're going to start charging tax on the tax you pay so you can later pay more tax. Bro, I can't fathom it. How are people surviving in the UK, let alone thriving, when you just got constant payments you got to make? And bear in mind, that's excluding your standard like rent and your bills and your food and what you need for actual survival. It's like, bro, we're all paying this extortionate amount of money for what? For the services that are terrible. I can't even go see my GP within a 3-week period if I wanted to. And then this is our standard weather where it's just great. It's like, bro, thank God. I'm so blessed. I'm so grateful that I'm in a position financially where I can afford to maintain all these ridiculous payments that I got to be making. But it's like, bro, for the average working class person, bro, I feel for you, because how are you surviving, bro? I'd genuinely be out here on the streets with the regular 9-to-5 income, like struggling to even eat if it was all of these expenses stacking up and I had a regular wage. I don't even know what I'm spending money on. But yeah, right now it's looking really appealing. Like, I really understand why people are just selling everything they have and moving to Asia, because it's just less stress. You're not getting threatened from HMRC and random institutions every other week for payments that you didn't know you had to make. It's like, bro, like, I'm actually sick and tired of it. Like, I'm one bill away from just getting rid of this apartment, selling my car and just going to Asia, because like, bro, I've had enough.
The UK is finished. If you're currently living in the UK, you might want to reconsider, because it's about to get a whole lot worse. So this graph shows you the standard of living in the UK, and it predicts it over the next few years up until 2028. Just take a look at that. This massive drop after 2023 shows how bad it's going to get. The standard of living in the UK is going down the drain. And take a look at this. If you wanted to rent a 1-bedroom flat in suburban London, not even in central London, it will cost you 2.2k per month. Honestly, how can anyone afford this? Because the average salary in the UK per year after tax is 28k. And if you're renting a 1-bedroom flat, you would only have £130 per month left over for everything else. So no wonder so many people are in debt. Taxes are likely to go up, inflation is at an all-time high, and rent prices are unaffordable. There are so many different countries around the world where you can have a good standard of living. So why would you choose to live in the UK? It's already the second most unequal country in the world. Because honestly, if you stay in the UK now, it's just going to get so much worse. And yes, all countries do have their problems, but the way I see it, the UK is finished and it's not getting better anytime soon. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And if you like the video, follow for more content.
What the actual hell is going on in the UK? I actually think it gets worse and worse every single day. We're literally getting taxed left, right and centre. It actually getting to the point where I feel like most people are just working to survive. Like, they're literally living paycheck to paycheck. They don't do anything else other than go to work because you literally can't afford it. Like, actually, what kind of life is that? Like, what are we all doing? I think a lot of people are opening their eyes to actually what's going on in the UK now. Like, they're actually realising that we've all been kind of brainwashed into believing that we go to school, get an education, get a good job, when in actual fact that just keeps us trapped. And the lifestyle isn't even good here. The weather is crap. Everybody is miserable. I am literally fed up of being here, getting to the point where I am thinking about going elsewhere. There actually isn't any such thing as work-life balance for most people. Now, let me know, has anyone left the UK? If you've left the UK, where have you gone? Where's better? I need some options. Anyway, rant over. Let me know what you think in the comments.
You're not being told the truth about the cost of living crisis. This crisis isn't inevitable. When prices go up, someone somewhere else is making a profit out of it. Whether it's food billionaires profiteering from your weekly shop, or oil barons ripping off your energy bills, inflation means your money is lining someone else's pockets. It's always telling what isn't in your media headlines. For too long, economics has been the preserve of those in Westminster or the City of London, where the incentives are to mystify and confuse the rest of us about how our world works. This show aims to democratize economics, making the subject accessible for everyone. At Macrodose, we cut through the noise to bring you evidence-based and climate-focused economics journalism. From greedflation to the polycrisis, we break down the headlines and bring you quick, weekly updates on everything you need to know. The era of easy growth is over, and it's time our media caught up. Macrodose, your weekly fix of climate economics. Subscribe now wherever you get your podcasts.
Does having to pack your own groceries at Aldi ease the pain of rising costs? The May inflation report showed food prices are still climbing faster than inflation overall. Eggs, chocolate and coffee the most, but the prices of other basics like fruit and vegetables, while easing, are still up on this time last year. So, Consumer Group Choice sent undercover shoppers to 104 supermarkets across the country to buy these 14 grocery items. And while each supermarket had their own deals, the cheapest basket of goods, without taking specials into account, was found at Aldi.
The reality of renting in London has become an unimaginable hellscape. So I'm just reading an article in The Independent about this girl, Ellie Muir's experience with renting in London, and it's absolute hell. She mentions having to set Rightmove alerts for when properties come on the market so that she can quickly get in contact with estate agents. And even when that does happen, miraculously someone else has already viewed the property or just paid money for the rent upfront with a huge deposit, sometimes up to a year, without even seeing it. And this is who regular people are competing with for properties in London when it comes to the rental market. Places are often mislabeled as being luxurious and lovely, and then when you get there, they are full of damp, they're cramped, and they're not up to the living standards that were depicted on the advert. There's also bidding wars where you go for a property that's priced at £2,000 a month. By the time you get there, the bidding wars have got the price all the way up to £2,500 a month, putting it out of most people's budgets. And then you've got landlords that do impose strict rules on tenants. There was a property in Hampstead that rented out a single bedroom, and the woman had said that she didn't want anyone in the property before 8:30 p.m. in the evening because she plays violin and has guests over. The tenant is also not allowed to use the living room, which is a strict constraint. I mean, some of these are just laughable, right? Like the conditions that they place on these people, but then still expect them to pay £1,350 a month for a single bedroom. So renting in London is absolute chaos. If you have any horror stories about what it's like to rent in London, let me know in the comments below. I want to hear it.
So a few people have asked me about the new 100% mortgage. Should you get it or not? You might have seen that a new lender launched a 100% mortgage product this week, meaning you can buy a property without needing a deposit. Now, one of the biggest obvious barriers to entry to buying a property in the UK is, of course, the huge amount of capital that you need up front. The average size of a first-time buyer deposit in the UK is around 60 grand. So a product that allows you to put down nothing grand is naturally going to attract a lot of attention. So you might be thinking, what's the catch? Well, firstly, here are some of the criteria. It's actually available to first-time buyers and home movers buying up to 600k. Borrowing is capped at 4.5 times your income. This means that someone earning 50 grand a year could hypothetically buy a property up to 225 grand, even without having any savings. You do need to fix in for either 10 or 15 years, and it's not available for new builds and flats. Interest rates also start at 6%. They're also offering an automatic rate reduction as the loan to value reduces over time, which could be appealing considering you normally need to remortgage to get a better rate. Now, before touching this product, you need to be fully aware of a few things. If house prices fall, you could find yourself in negative equity, meaning you owe more on the mortgage than your property is worth, meaning you can't sell the property without paying the shortfall yourself, meaning you're kind of screwed. An example of this is if you bought that place for 225 grand with a 100% mortgage and the value dropped to 200 grand, you'd be in 25 grand's worth of negative equity. You'd find yourself in a very awkward situation if you needed to sell. The other factor is, of course, monthly payments. Interest rates on mortgages change a lot even if you're able to put down a small deposit. Putting down just a 5% deposit on a 200 grand house would save you 3.5 grand over 5 years, compared to if you bought that same house with no deposit. So who is a 100% mortgage product really for? Well, if you ask the lender, they'll tell you it's for creditworthy individuals in stable jobs who lack access to the traditional capital requirements of a house purchase, which I think does have an element of truth to it, but this is definitely something that you should not consider as your first option. If you have the means to save up even as little as 5 to 10%, then experience has told me you're better off waiting and saving, even if that means missing out on a great house. Banks are businesses at the end of the day. There's a lot of competition between lenders right now, and the rhetoric might say they're addressing the housing crisis, but primarily, of course, they need to attract new customers. As a wider economic point, this of course starts to become a big problem when more and more people start to take on mortgages they can't afford. And although it was a great movie, nobody really needs to see a sequel to The Big Short. So, should you get a 100% mortgage? Yes or no? In most cases, in my opinion, probably not, but if you must, have very good reason to do so.
I don't want to climb the corporate ladder. I don't want your job promotion. I don't even want to be here today, right? Like, I'm only here because I have bills. Otherwise, I would not be here at this job today, okay? I don't like this shit. I also don't like the fact that I have to ask someone to take a vacation. I just want to live, travel, see the world. I don't even have to make a lot of money. I just want to live. I just want to be away from you. I'm aware that a lot of people don't have jobs, so I don't want to come across ungrateful. But the way this job system is set up, we should not even have to work this hard just to survive. And to those people who will say, well, you know, that's just the way it is. Fuck you. That's the way it is for you. That ain't the way it's supposed to be for us. If you want to do that the rest of your life, God bless. But I ain't trying to work till I'm 65 or 75 or 85 or 105. Fuck out of here.
People who rent, what the hell's going on? What's going on with the rental market? I cannot believe my eyes as to what I just saw in my local community group about the renting in my area. I live in Southwest London. I live in a very expensive part of the country, but nothing, and I mean nothing, can possibly justify the greed of this. Good morning all. We've been trying to get a property recently and the agent has claimed that the following would make our offer more affordable. No break clause and 3-year tenancy. Okay, I get that. Quoting an annual rent increase would be willing to pay. So you would be stating the amount that you would... Okay. I don't even know what to say about that. Paying in full 6 months blocks, a cool 10.5k. On what planet, on what guarantors needing to earn 36 times the rent? This is insane. By the way, I'm not sure if this is for a room or for a flat. I don't know. Guys, this is not okay. This is not okay. Asking guarantors, these are the people that I guess like they co-sign your tenancy. You know, they ensure that if anything goes wrong, we'll be here to help you out. They have to earn 36 times the amount of rent. On what planet?
3 things I hate about London. Number 1, it's a health service. In the UK, luck with getting anything. Last time, when my boyfriend had terrible poisoning, we spent over 7 hours in a hospital, just had a drip. Thanks God they did it at all. And if you need an appointment with a doctor, they actually are not doing anything. This makes me really sad because in the UK, you have to pay quite a big taxes. And even if you pay quite a lot of money, it doesn't mean that you are going to have a very good service. Number 2, cosmetic services. If you care about your health, better check with your friends who they could recommend you in order not to be very sad. I have so many people who mentioned they got some infection with nails. When you go to the salon, they don't disinfect anything. Afterwards, they'll spend hundreds or even thousands of pounds to get their nails, eyelashes, etc. to good order, and they have to pay so much. So I don't recommend that. Number 3, safety and security. How many times have you seen a video where people just grab random stuff from the shop and run? Unfortunately, your security guard cannot do anything because if they're going to touch the person, they're going to sue them for touching them. This I find ridiculous because I feel like, okay, they're going to steal something and they're going to have nothing for that. Because of that, so many criminals are around and it's not safe, especially in the middle of the evening. You need to be careful. Phone thefts, burglaries, even stabbings. It's crazy. This is a big city. This is something that you have to keep in mind. My name is Irina. I've been living in London almost for 2 years. I've got a British boyfriend and I love filming you some stories about London. If you want to know more, please follow my blog. See you soon.
Are we going to see more rent increases in the future? And the simple answer, unfortunately, is yes. Here are the reasons why. Supply and demand. The most basic principle. As the population increases and the supply of new properties coming onto the market and landlords making investments onto the market is not increasing in line, demand will outstrip supply, and in which case this will push prices one way. EPC changes, legislative changes, more administration changes, the cost of actually owning a property is increasing. And that's not even including general maintenance costs. So when the landlord's costs are increasing and the cost of operating and maintaining a property is increasing, then naturally they'll have to consider passing this on. That's another contributing factor. With the Renters' Rights Bill coming into place, landlords will not be able to get a rental figure above the advertised asking price. Now, this is going to concern lots of landlords and have a knee-jerk reaction where they're going to say, well, might as well try the higher end as opposed to the lower end, because even if I put it on at the lower end and I would have done so, or I wanted to at the beginning, I'm not going to be able to get a higher level, so therefore it can backfire. I'm going to go for the strategy of putting it at the maximum possible price. If everybody turns around and does that, then all of the properties coming on the market will be priced at the top level as opposed to the competitively bottom level. This is definitely going to have an increase on headline rents, and naturally will have an increase on rent prices. George Osborne in 2016 absolutely ruined the market. Now, I'll be posting another video in the future about Section 24 tax and the real impact. However, in a nutshell, landlords are being taxed on turnover and not from their profit. This has resulted in some landlords making a real profit of even £1,000 or £2,000 at the end of the year, but actually making a paper loss based on the new taxation system. Now, this is something that has crept in, and although it has been in place since 2016, the issue is that the interest rates were at an all-time low. So despite landlords having to pay more tax, the true impact was not actually felt. A lot of old school landlords have struggled to make a profit, and in doing so they've got no other option but to increase the rent. 5, 6, 7 years ago, when the interest rate is all-time low, a lot of landlords were reluctant to increase the rent because their costs were low, therefore they didn't really have to, and they just let it slide. But as landlords have coming out of those fixed terms and they need to refinance, they're seeking for mortgage products in the current market, which are now 5, 6, 7%, and they're struggling to make the investment viable at the old rents. So they've got no other choice but to increase the rent. Unless these variables change, then I can't see why rents will decrease. Whilst rent increases are unfavourable for lots of tenants, unfortunately we are in a marketplace which has all of these factors that people need to consider. What the government really needs to do is incentivise more landlords to buy properties and increase supply. And if you're not incentivising landlords to buy properties, then you need to start building more properties to give people choice and allow supply to increase. If you found this video useful and for up-to-date property-related advice, tips and insights, follow me.
Is it just me, or does payday never feel like enough recently? Like, you spend weeks waiting for payday and then it's just gone within 2 hours. Bills, food, fuel, any debt that you're paying, boom, gone. Like, I am literally breaking down my money to the penny every single month just to feel safe. Do you remember when you were younger and payday used to feel exciting? Like, I remember going shopping, meeting up with my friends. Now it just gives me anxiety. I just want to be a kid again where all I have to worry about is my pocket money. Do you know what I mean? But seriously though, how does your payday make you feel? Do you get any excitement from it, or are you just a bit meh? Or does it give you anxiety like me? And if so, definitely give me a little follow, because I do talk all things life and money, and I share lots of little hacks to try and make things a little easier.
Listen, I'm a Vietnamese living in London, and I'm always asked by my friends, how do I manage to stay afloat when the standard of living is so high? And a lot of my friends already moved out of London. To be honest with you, I have 3 jobs. I have a full-time job working as a social producer for a fashion company. I also manage a social media platform for a restaurant part-time, and I'm also earning money from TikTok by making these videos for you. You know, every day when I walk out and take public transport, I already spend £10 without even doing anything. I'm just breathing and my money is already deducted. And my mortgage is over £1,000 every month, and then you have food, spending if you want to have fun, go out with your friends. So it is a very expensive place to be. So I just wonder, for the rest of you who are living in London, how do you manage? Bye.
This country's literally falling apart, man. It's like, even yesterday I had a conversation with the police, and they were just basically saying to me like, oh, there's not really much that they can do out here. There's so many things within their power that are kind of being undermined, and like nobody's basically taking any account. Like, this government is literally shafted everywhere. Even when you're walking through the streets, it's mad. Like, there's rubbish everywhere. So even if you're walking through Tower Hamlets, there's lots of people are basically talking about nobody's coming to collect any of the rubbish. right? Rubbish men have gone on strike. Police are basically saying that everything is just flipping a mess. Some of them are walking out as well. And it's one of them ones. Like, I ended up flipping having to sympathize with them. Like, this country is isn't it? Everybody's talking about it. Yeah? Normal flipping working people. And at the end of the month, most people ain't got shit left. And some people ain't even got food. Got people flipping, what's the word I'm looking for? People having to go out and steal in flipping supermarkets. All types of flipping shit. It's my car key. Left my car key inside, yeah. People having to flipping go into supermarkets and steal. British Transport Police saying that their computer systems ain't even linked to Metropolitan Police. They want to leave. People talking about leaving this country. Do you know what I mean? So-called COVID's supposedly coming back. Loads of flights being cancelled at Gatwick and all types of shit. Like England, UK, this government shafted, man.
I'm so stressed out. The last 3-4 weeks, I've been trying to find a house in London, or at least just outside of London, for within my budget. And nobody told me how hard it is to find a house or a flat in London. It's not the hard part, it's the everything is so expensive in London. And now I need to tell my current landlord on the 20th of June if I'm staying or moving out. But they've increased my rent to something that I can't afford. Everything is so expensive in London. Every single flat that I've seen is expensive in London. Every single one. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to I can't be depressed about everything. I can't be depressed about everything.
One thing you can absolutely guarantee is that as landlords' costs increase, as tax becomes less efficient, there is one solution: to increase your rents. And even people without mortgages or low mortgages, they're not going to sit back while everyone else is increasing their rents and continue to be the only landlords that charge low rents. They're going to increase too. That is the nature of the beast. I cannot tell you how easy it has become to rent properties, way more than I ever expected. I've got one 4-bedroom house, and honestly, I was happy with 1,200 quid rent a few years ago. And it increased to 1,400 recently because market started to push rents up. And now I'm going to be getting closer to 1,800 quid as a standard family AST. Not to mention my HMOs or my student houses. Literally, I am charging more than I was a year ago, including utilities. And now they've got to pay for the bills themselves. That is the fallout effect of when you start to try and squeeze landlords. They can start to increase rents and not really feel the pinch.
Hi guys, it's that special time of the year where my landlord requests more money for rent. Is this normal? Increase, fine, for market price, but by £100 per month and you've been living there for like 2 years? What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing with your rent increase? Do you ever like rebuttal? Because I rebutted last year and they accepted. So they offered, look, even that. They asked for 100 and we're like, okay, we'll pay 50. And they accepted that. So this year they did the same exact thing. And we also, again, asked for 50. No works have been done. Nothing has been changed. We even lost power, as many of you know, for like a month. So it was, and we were on generator power. So yeah, I think everything considering, but yeah, what do you do if this happens, when this happens?
3, 2. Morning. Good morning, Crystal. Just gonna get a coffee. Do you want one? No thanks, I made one 10 minutes ago. Oh, fair enough. I need a wee. That was a long wee. Oh yeah, it wasn't a wee in the end. Got you one anyway. Oh, pass us that, please. Yeah? Thank you. What a load of bollocks. She's a fucking bitch though, isn't she? You do know we've still got another 20 minutes? Yeah, it takes me ages to get out of the car park, so I've got to leave early. In fact, see you later, fuckers. See you tomorrow.
I applied for one job today and I've never felt so admin-y in all my life. Is that word admin-y? But like I just, I'm up to my eyeballs in admin. Admin! Yeah, Sarah, I don't even think I'm going to be able to come out for drinks tonight because I'm swimming in admin. I've never seen so much admin in all my life. This chair also just does something to me. I feel like I turn into I feel like a Molly Mays manager, you know? Absolutely not. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it for less than £7.50. I won't do it. You have 3 camels on my desk by Monday or you're fired. You know, like, work, annual leave, financial reports, you know? Between you and me, Marcus, I've seen her performance review and she's fucked. She's long gone. No, I wouldn't be surprised if I got an email from Google tomorrow saying, do you want the business?
So the nice lady from Santander, I say she's nice because she sends me text messages on a daily basis. She's been telling everybody on the news today that spending is down. It has dropped by 2.7%. And she says it had gone up a bit in April because it was nice weather. I can't say that with a straight face. But if it was up because of nice weather, maybe the government ought to stop spraying the skies so we get a bit more sun and then maybe we'd spend more, just a little hint. But she said it was up in April because it was nice weather. It was down in May, 2.7%, which is the lowest it's been since December 2023, which, as you remember, is when we were coming off the back of that ridiculous pandemic thing. So spending is down, but borrowing is up. Of course, borrowing's up. It's gone up by £17.7 billion. That's not how much we are borrowing. That's how much borrowing is going up by, which will be interest on the trillions that we owe. Rachel Reeves doesn't care. Obviously, she doesn't mind. She just borrows more and more and more, knowing that we will pay it further and further and further back. So we're basically an interest-only repayment fund. We're sort of like the cash cow. Moo! We pay for all of Rachel's wants. She doesn't ask us if she can borrow. She doesn't turn around. You know, like if you want to borrow some money off a friend or if you want to borrow some money off your dad or something, you go, I don't suppose you could lend me for something, could you? Could I possibly borrow £4.50? I'll pay you later. I haven't got any money in my purse, that kind of thing. No, she doesn't do that. She goes, right, well, this is how much you lot owe. It's like, how do we owe that? We didn't say we wanted to borrow it, and you've signed us up to the most ridiculous terms and an interest that is way higher than it was when Liz Truss cocked it all up, and we're supposed to go, that's okay. Are we? We're supposed to go, yeah, okay, fine, all right, Rach. No, I don't think we are. But because we've got no money and no voice, because they don't listen to a word we say, we're sort of like these little poor people in the background, going, oh, God, here she is, she's done it again. And nothing's really changing, is it? Nothing's really happening. We're borrowing more, we're spending less, we don't have money in our back pocket, and yet they're still wanging on, as they do, about they're determined for change and their plan for change and all their change. The only thing I want them to change is the record. And in fact, no, what I want them to do is change like the changing of the guard, and I want them out and someone else in. And at this precise moment in time, it could be my cat, for all I care. They are as much use as a chocolate teapot. So they can change themselves out. They can go back under the rocks that they came out on. And I know that sounds a bit hard, but when you've taxed people into oblivion, when you've persecuted every vulnerable sector in society, when you've gaslit an entire nation, I sort of feel as though it's quite an accurate description of where they should be heading back to. But ultimately, it is no surprise that we have stopped spending, that our spending has dropped, and it is dropping by 2.7%. Next month, I'm sure it will be more. What would be a surprise is if Rachel Reeves saw this, and instead of going, oh, that's disappointing, she turned around and went, oh, I've completely haven't I? I'll get someone who knows what they're doing to do the job. Or what would be even better would be if Keir Starmer sacked her, and then there was a vote of no confidence for the entire government, and then we had the new lot in, whoever they may be. My cat. Let's vote Stanley. But either way, we can't carry on as we are. We have no money. There is no money in our back pocket. There are literally not down the back of the sofa, and I've looked. I spent my life looking for it. The ashtray in my car, I used to keep all my pound coins for the trolleys in, but I've had to use them recently because I've needed them for other things. So when I went to get a trolley this morning and there were no pound coins in it, I was like, yeah, spent it. See, that's what happened, Rachel, when you spend stuff and then you have none left, but you have none left. But with Rachel, you have none left, and then you borrow it and you say, don't worry, those stupid people, the taxpayers, will pay for it. And then we'll raise their taxes even more, and then we'll put our ear defenders on and go to a concert as funded by the taxpayer or a freebie or something and pretend that we can't hear them. It's how it goes. Brilliant. Thanks, Rach.